Welcome back, everyone. So, Southport, the jailing of innocent people, Tommy. Things have moved along, haven't they, since everyone was worrying about free suits and free gear and all the other bits and pieces. It seems that every day Labour brings another scandal or another problem, but the ones that are unfolding, I think, are on a different level. And when you think about it, Labour have been sending pretty much innocent people to jail for what they described as misinformation. These are the same people that, before they were elected, promised the nation on numerous occasions that they would not remove our senior citizens' winter heating allowance, but they went back on that. Was that just a lie, or was that misinformation? And should they be in jail for that, let alone should they be in power? They also told us that they wouldn't raise taxes. They told us that time and time and time again. Again, misinformation, or you could call it a deliberate lie. I think it's more the latter. Now they've pissed off our farmers. And whether you're into the farming community, whether you're not, whether you're interested in it, whether you're not, doesn't really matter. Because if there's no farmers, there's no food. And that affects every single one of us, including our children. Now, I know that there are people out there that will think, oh, farmers are all rich. They got a load of land, they all have a load of money. Well, I used to live in a rural community. And I used to know a few farmers, and I can tell you now that the vast majority are absolutely not cash rich. If you're a plumber, an ordinary plumber, you need a van, right? Without your van, you can't go to work. Well, the land that farmers own traditionally is passed down from one generation to another. That land is their van. No land, no farm, no farm, no food. So the farmers are getting together on the 19th, I believe, of November, and the patriotic community, I believe, should, would, could, and will get behind them. But that's another story. Let's get back to the scandals. Slowly but surely unravelling here in the UK like never before. I believe that Labour, the Prime Minister, the Home Secretary, and Merseyside Police are up to their necks in a cover-up and a scandal like we've never seen before in this country. And it's slowly but surely unfolding right in front of our very eyes. Now, I'm not going to talk in any way, shape or form about the case in Southport. We're all aware of the law. None of us want to break that. None of us want to put that trial in any danger. But what we can do is we can ask questions about the government. We can ask questions about Merseyside Police. We can ask what was held back from us and when. When did they know about the ricin? When did they know about the Al-Qaeda manuals? And I firmly believe, I won't go as far as saying I know, but let's just say I firmly believe that there are other things that are going to come out in the trial that this government, Merseyside Police, the Home Secretary and the Prime Minister simply will not be able to explain away. Because if they think the public are going to forget between now and January when the trial takes place, they're even more crazy than we thought. It's not going to happen. We will not forget. We won't forget Peter Lynch. We won't forget those beautiful little girls. And we won't forget the people that are in jail right now that will not be home for Christmas, that will not be with their families, because you said they were spreading misinformation. And I'm not talking about the violent rioters. I'm not talking about the thieves. I'm not talking about those that went out to throw bricks and rocks just because that's what they do, because they're idiots and they're bad people. I'm talking about the genuine concerned parents and grandparents like Peter Lynch, God rest his soul, may he rest in peace, a man that is now gone from this world, because he became a victim of your crackdown on people that were merely voicing concerns. I don't know how stupid this government thinks the people of this country are. I really can't imagine. But a lot of people, from the moment that incident took place, despite the lies they were fed by overseas influencers, that was proven. A guy from Pakistan was proven to be the one that posted the original misinformation that went some way to the problems that we had back in the summer. It wasn't from the far right, it was from someone in Pakistan. The list of so-called riots that mysteriously appeared, the list of so-called demonstrations, far-right demonstrations that were allegedly going to take place, somehow miraculously appeared from where? I don't know. But not one single person that I know, that I've spoken to, that I speak with, that I've heard about talking about any of this, nobody that I knew or know anything about those dates, where they came from or how they were put together. I believe they were a lie. I believe they were deliberately made up to further clamp down on our freedoms of speech. And of course, none of those protests, none of those far-right demonstrations materialised. Why didn't they materialise? Well, they didn't materialise because they were a lie. Those dates were never genuine in the first place. I wonder who made those up. I have my suspicions. Hopefully one day that will come out too. Because whoever made up those fictitious dates is absolutely far more responsible for problems that occurred than the few people that went out and shouted a few hurty words, or just stood there in some cases and were plucked from our streets by our police officers under instructions from their seniors, under instructions from the Home Secretary and the government. And I've got a warning to all our friends in America, and I've got a lot of friends in America through my previous business. I have a lot of viewers that live in America. I absolutely implore you, take what's happening right now in the United Kingdom as a stark warning as to what is coming your way under Camilla Harris if she wins. Do not fall into the trap that we fell into here in the United Kingdom. After our last, at our last general election, there was so much voter apathy. A very small portion of the people here in the UK voted for this Labour, some will call it communist government that we now have. Very, very few people voted for them. But they managed to get into power. They crept in through the back door. Do not let this happen in the United States. That's my message to our friends in the US. Don't become another United Kingdom, because the country that we grew up in and that we loved has gone. And I don't want to see that happen to you guys out there in the US. And until you've experienced what is going on right here in the UK right now, you will never know, and hopefully you will never get to know. But they are currently putting people in jail, Soviet style, communist China style, and it could be coming your way too. We have a patriot here in the United Kingdom, his name's Tommy. And for years, this man has been fighting a just cause. He's been fighting to stop child grooming gangs. That has been his the number one thing on his mind. His number one aim has been to put a halt to the vicious, vile, horrible, illegal child grooming gangs. And in many ways, he's been successful. Where is he right now? He's in jail. This man is in jail in the UK because he has helped save the lives of hundreds of innocent British children here in his home country. Now, there are people who will say, well, that's not true, Paul, is it? He's in jail for contempt of court, and that is correct. He is in jail for contempt of court, and he pleaded guilty to contempt of court, and he was guilty of contempt of court. He admitted that himself. But you have to look at the case a bit further back. You have to ask why he was jailed, or whilst he was charged with contempt of court. It's because he made a film that exposed the truth that the government didn't want the people to see. I asked you why. Make your own minds up. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to work it out for yourselves. So this man, a true, genuine freedom fighter that stands for all things that are good, demonised by the mainstream media, demonised by our politicians, who are slowly starting to come round, because make no mistake, the truth will always come out in the end. Ultimately, good will always win over evil. And every single one of these politicians, every single one of these news broadcasters, every single one of these cheap, hard left journalists posing, or I should say hard left activists who are posing as journalists, because they're not really journalists at all, are they? They are activists spouting their bile and being paid for it in the process. Their day will come when they have to answer for the misinformation and the lies that they've been spreading for years. This movement that many of us are involved in, we want one thing in this country. We want peace. We just want to live together in harmony. We have no problems with any community whatsoever that lives in this country peacefully, and that includes our peaceful brothers and sisters from the Islamic community. But we have to recognise, during what is, ironically, Islamophobia Awareness Month, we must all recognise, and that includes our friends in the Islamic community, that there is a problem in one particular community, and it's not our community. The good people from the Islamic community need to be calling out these bad people and put an end to the problems. There shouldn't have to be an Islamophobia Awareness Month. Now, for most of us, Islamophobia Awareness Month will simply remind us of the atrocities that have taken place in this country over the last few years involving terrorists, Islamist terrorists. That's all it does for us. It reminds us of what's taken place in the past. It doesn't remind us of how tolerant we've got to be, because we're already tolerant. And we see what happens when that tolerance starts to come to a head. We saw it back in the summer. And that was only through for me, my opinion is that the problems in the summer only arose because the government and the police treated us all like fools, and they are continuing to treat us like fools. And now Lindsay Hoyle, the Speaker in the House, is taking every single MP, is taking the Houses of Parliament, is taking our very structure for a ride too, by closing them down and by telling them they cannot speak. Well, Lindsay Hoyle, I've got a message for you, my friend. The trial should and will hopefully reveal everything, and then you've got to answer for what you've done. Then you've got to answer to why you did that. Then the government, the Prime Minister, the Home Secretary has got to answer and come up with an excuse, and they'll find one. They'll probably blame the far right that doesn't even exist. And a little word on the so-called far right. I've yet to come across it. I've seen a little smidgen of evidence of it in one or two places, but not in any organised fashion, not in any organised way. And our message from within this movement, and that includes from people like Tommy, and I can safely say that he would say the same thing. We don't want the far right anywhere near us. We want nothing to do with the genuine far right, just as much as we want nothing to do with extremists from the left. We are genuine middle ground, tolerant, centre-right people who just want peace, the truth, policing without fear, without favour. And I talk about London now for a minute. Yesterday I saw I've been spending this morning watching some of the pro-Palestine, the hate marches in London again yesterday, and I'm sorry they are hate marches because most of them, not all of them, but most of them, the majority, will not condemn Hamas. And for me, that makes them supporters of terrorism. Now, watching those videos, and there's a lot of them on X today, my mind is blown at the signs, the wording, support for the recently departed Hamas leader, support for him openly on signs and placards, people wearing swastikas, people talking about shedding blood in the cause, intifada, from the river to the sea, you name whatever insult that they can throw at our peaceful Jewish community, it was there. You name any illegal sign or symbol that you can think of, it was evident. What do the Met Police do? Absolutely nothing. These people are on our streets right now, and I can't think of any other way of putting it, excuse my language, they are simply taking the piss out of all of us. Now the British people still remain calm. We still remain peaceful. We still remain tolerant. Why thousands and thousands of people who appear to hate this country, to hate the West, and to want war and destruction are continued to allow to spout their bile on our streets every single week, unchallenged by the authorities, by the government, and by the police. Is there any wonder that the British people's tolerance is being tested to the full? Is it any wonder that we've simply had enough? The time has got to come, and the time is now surely well overdue, where the authorities and the police have to start treating us all equally, without fear, without favour, instead of with fear and with lots of favour. We're not blind, we're not stupid, it's plain for every single one of us to see with our own eyes. I want nothing but peace and harmony in this country. But if those in charge don't get to grips with what's going on, I don't ever see that happening, not long term. People like myself and other individuals within this group, we spend our life telling everyone to remain calm. We spend so much time telling people that the only way to deal with this is the correct way, the legal way, the peaceful way, the calm way, the gentlemanly way, the British way. But there's going to come a time when they stop listening to us, and I don't want that to happen. But unless the government start treating us like adults, unless the government start treating us with respect, and the fact that we're not stupid and that we can plainly see what's taking place in front of our very eyes, I don't know how much longer they're going to, like I say, I don't know how much longer they're going to listen to people like me that just want to remain calm and peaceful. And I will always keep the same message. And I've got a number of friends that are within the peace-loving, peaceful Jewish community. I used to have a lot of friends in the Islamic community. I haven't spoken to them for a long time, and I'm very sad about that because I love some of those people. I've known them for years and they are genuinely lovely people. But they must understand that they cannot continue to support a terrorist organisation and live in this country that cannot be compatible with our way of life, and it's not compatible with a peaceful future and a harmonious future. I go back to my Jewish friends, none of them visit London anymore. They're all too scared. Some of them are too scared even to go out into Brighton city centre at the weekend. Imagine that. Imagine what that must be like. Even myself, I now am very wary of travelling into central London because of my profile. Why should I be not frightened? I'm not frightened, but why should I be concerned about my safety when I want to travel into the capital city where I was born? What's gone wrong? And is that our fault? Well, the answer is no. I'm not going to hurt anyone. But there are people out there that would want to hurt me. There are people out there that are not interested in peace and harmony. And I go back to what I said earlier on. There are people in jail right now, innocent people, good, honest, kind, caring, loving family members that are in jail right now for misinformation. I suggest to you that we have a Prime Minister and a Home Secretary and many others within the Labour Party, many of whom I believe to be racists. Yes, racists. We have a situation now where we are being fed more misinformation than lies than ever before in our history. I can only hope that one day these people have to answer for their actions.